Hi, I'm Gary Francione. I'm here in my office at Rutgers University, and the purpose of this video is to provide a brief introduction, a very brief introduction, to the abolitionist approach to animal rights. The abolitionist approach consists of 6 primary principles. The first principle is that abolitionists maintain that animals have the right not to be used as property. Now, when we talk about human rights, there are all sorts of arguments that we have about what rights humans have or should have or whatnot, but we all are in agreement that using people as property, chattel slavery, is wrong. Indeed, it's one of the few things, chattel slavery is one of the few things that the norms of customary international law outlaw. Because even though human slavery exists, and it does exist, and it's a serious problem, but nobody defends it because we all recognize that slavery is morally objectionable. Why is it morally objectionable? Because if someone's a slave, they are a thing. They have no inherent or intrinsic value. They only have extrinsic, external value. They can be bought, they can be sold, they have a price. Their fundamental interests are valued not by them, but by somebody else, their owner. So we recognize this as morally objectionable, and we basically take the position, at least, as I say, human slavery exists, but at least as a principled matter, we take the position that irrespective of a person's characteristics, whether the person is smart or not smart or beautiful or not beautiful, whatever the characteristics are, that each human has the right not to be the property of another human. The same analysis applies to animals. Animals are property. They have no inherent or intrinsic value. They only have extrinsic, external value. And we can buy them, we can sell them, we can use them, we can kill them. They are things. And so abolitionists reject this and say, for the same reason that we reject human slavery, we have to reject the status of non-human animals as property. And so that's the first principle. And acceptance of that first principle means we have to reject animal use altogether. We have to promote the abolition of animal exploitation. The second principle is that abolitionists maintain that welfare reform campaigns and single-issue campaigns are morally objectionable and practically ineffective. That is, if it's wrong for us to use animals, then we ought not to be promoting the humane use of animals. If it's wrong for us to use animals, we ought not to be promoting the idea that certain animal uses are worse than others, and therefore the ones that are not targeted are better than others. We ought not to be doing that. We just ought to be promoting the abolition of animal exploitation. It's also the case because animals are property. Animal welfare standards will always be very, very low because it costs money to protect animal interests, and we only do so when we get a benefit, usually economic, from doing so. So that's the second principle. We reject welfare reform and single-issue campaigns. The third principle is that abolitionists maintain that veganism is the moral baseline. That is, if animals have the right not to be used as property, if they have the right not to be commodities, we have to stop treating them as commodities, and eating them, wearing them, using them is treating them as commodities. If you are not vegan, you are participating directly in animal exploitation. So really the focus of the abolitionist approach is veganism as a moral imperative. It's what we have an obligation to do. The fourth principle is that the only characteristic that animals have to have in order to have the right not to be used as property is sentience. They have to be subjectively aware. They have to be able to experience pain. It's not necessary that they have human-like cognition. There are some advocates who maintain that non-human great apes or whales or elephants matter more because they think more like us. And it's the abolitionist position that an elephant may weigh a great deal more than a chicken or a fish, but as far as morality is concerned, they're equal. They all have the right not to be used as property. They all have the right not to be treated as things. The fifth principle is that abolitionists recognize the inextricable relationship between human rights and animal rights. We reject speciesism because it excludes animals from the moral universe and the legal universe because of species, which is an irrelevant criterion. It is like racism in that respect. It's like racism, sexism, heterosexism, etc. And we have to reject those things too. It doesn't make any sense to say, I think speciesism is wrong because it's like racism or sexism, and not say that we have a position on racism and sexism. We do. Those things are wrong. They should be rejected. The final principle, the sixth principle, is that abolitionists embrace nonviolence. The problem is violence. It's not going to, the problem that we're dealing with is not going to be solved with violence. The one thing that we have learned in human history is that violence only leads to more violence. Moreover, because 95% of the world, probably more, engages in animal exploitation, if we say that violence against animal exploiters is okay, what does that mean? Everybody's an animal exploiter. So you can't just say that, well, we believe that vivisectors are wrong, are bad to do what they're doing, and therefore we think that it's acceptable to use violence against them, without saying that it's acceptable to use violence against your mother, your father, your relatives, your lover, your friends, whatever, who are not vegan. That's basically a brief introduction. If you want more, go to the website abolitionistapproach.com. This is 25 years of thinking in 6 minutes. So go to the website. You can get more information. If you want information about veganism, go to howdoigovegan.com. Thank you very much.